For today's lesson, I thought it'd be fun to dive into the world of umbers. It's one of those color families that can seem simple at first glance, just dark earth tones, right? But when you really start using them, you'll notice how different each one feels. Some are cool and smoky, while others are warm and rich. They each bring something totally unique to the mixes. I want to compare my top 3 go-to umbers on my palette right now, how they can help us to really shape our darks and our depth within our paintings. These are the colors that I use really to darken skin tones, into moving skin tones into the shadows, because they're very natural and they're natural based pigments. And so they play well with other colors and they darken value really well. But when I think about shadows, I don't think of just warm and cool shadows. Even shadows, when it comes to depth within a painting, I think of having the warm of the shadow move closer to us, and then as we go further into the painting, it gets colder, the temperature drops. And so I think about that with my umbers. So when I was working on this idea of setting up my palette, I like to have warm and cool temperature shifts between the two, tools or colors that can do the same thing, but do it in a subtle way that we understand them better. So with that said, I'm going to show you guys how the red umber mixes. We're going to do each within a line here. So about 50-50 mixes right now of red umber and titanium white. I chose titanium white because it tints really fast and it has a really strong intensity of chroma when it affects other colors. It has a really great tinting strength. And so I thought it'd be cool to show you guys a comparison with this, to show you guys the properties of the colors. Because if you look at the mass tone of red umber, so mass tone is the large body opaque quality of our paint, right? So this is our mass tone of the red umber. Right there, undisturbed, pure, 100% chroma and purity right out of the tube. This is it with 50% white mixed in, and then we'll do one with more white than red umber to show you guys a little value scale. Now, what's really interesting about the red umber is that it is a warm, it's a red, but it still has elements of cool. So it has just a hint of coolness to it, almost like of a grayness, coolness to it, which works well for shadows, painting in shadows. Let's do one more, little gradient here, and a little dab to show how we get a nice, almost warm gray, tinted peachy kind of gray here with the titanium white. Let's clean that up just a little bit. So I love how this again has a color that it's going to be warm as it starts to, as I'm thinking 3-dimensionally, right? As the shadow kind of starts, and then say the shadow on the tip of a chin as it's coming around and under. The tip of the chin would still be warm, but then as we get to the back of the front of the neck and a face that's facing towards us, conceptually, it would get colder as it got farther away, so that those colors within the shadows would recede further and create more depth on a very subtle way within our painting. So that's our red umber, our burnt umber, and raw umber. Again, these mass tones are very similar. I'm actually going to talk about these guys together. So here's our burnt umber, opaque mass tone. I'm going to clean my brush. I'm cleaning my brush right here. I'm cleaning my brush with a paper towel to make sure that we get clean mixes. This is the mass tone of the raw umber, which is slightly darker. You can really squint at the screen to see the differences. See how it's like light, dark, even darker. So I love using these colors instead of a black, per se, to darken mixtures. The other colors I use to darken mixtures are ultramarine blue and sometimes alizarin crimson when I'm playing with those colors, and alizarin crimson. So let's do 50-50 on red umber, 50-50 on burnt umber. So right now these are very, very subtle. This is warmer, this is colder. This is going to go more towards a green. This is going to go more towards a red. And I'm going to show you guys that right now. So again, 50-50 mix of white. Clean my brush. 50-50 mix of red umber. I'm sorry, burnt umber. Really mix that well together. So you can see the mass tone of the mixture as well. So I'm going to do the same with the burnt umber so that we can compare them before we do the other. Let's do 50-50 burnt umber, sorry, 50-50 raw umber. I'm going to do the raw umber as well. Really mix them up. Now when you're painting on your palette, this is how we want to mix on our palette with a brush. That's really important, is that we want to really merge our colors together as well as we can so that we have a clean mix for the thought that we have when we put down our paint onto our painting. That this is what we're going to grab from and paint. So just by doing this 50-50 mix, squinting at the values, this value is a little bit lighter. I didn't do it scientifically with the white, but to give you an idea. But you can see how much colder and greener this is versus our burnt umber. It's really interesting. Warm, warm-ish, really not warm. You know, so this is a great gradient of colors to have at our disposal for thinking about shadows. So let's go back up to here. And so I'm cleaning the brush with a paper towel again so that we know that it's clean. We need a little bit more burnt umber in this mix. If I mess up burnt umber and raw umber as I'm talking, I apologize up front, guys. Just like in the video of the Van Dyke Z, which it became a V, 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 Z, Z. A little bit more just to get that in there. A really clean, again, still wiping my brush off just to get a clean mix. It's really beautiful. And we'll do this next one where you guys can see where it's more white, titanium white, than burnt umber. Just so you guys can see the subtleties in how pink this is and warm, and how this is still warm, but it's kind of a neutral warm, wouldn't you say, like kind of almost like a warm gray. It's very beautiful. I'm having a blast doing these lessons for you guys because I'm learning a lot. This helps me to be a way better teacher. Like, I've actually never done this type of study for blacks, like Mars black, ivory black, peach black. I'm very curious to do that as well, and then kind of learn along with doing the demonstrations with you guys. So we can kind of learn together. That's going to be another lesson as well. Interesting. See how cold it's getting here? So it's turning more gray, more neutral. Okay, so more white. Then raw umber. Oops, put a lot of raw umber in there. Take some out. Really get in there and mix. I wish you guys could feel like I'm painting on this glass right now, and it's just really beautiful. The paint just goes on really, really well. It's not absorbed by the panel at all. So it really sits on there really beautifully. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. Get this mass tone so we can really see it really opaquely. And my brush, I'm just using a light. We can see how it's getting a lot colder. And so this is great. We have at our disposal on our palette now a really warm dark, a warm dark, and then a cold dark. So they kind of intersperse with one another. So when we want to move temperature shifts within our painting, within the darks and shadows, this is beautiful. We don't really even have to add much to these mixtures. If we want to really warm it up, we can add a cad red or a permanent bright red to a mixture to really punch up some of the darks. Or we can add an ultramarine blue as well to the darks, which is also another natural based pigment that plays well with other mixtures, so it doesn't, again, take over our original color thought idea, but we can decrease the value pretty well. So again, using titanium white, red umber, burnt umber, raw umber. Thanks guys for hanging out in the studio with me and nerding out over these umbers. These earthy tones are a huge part of my process, and I've learned a lot from paying closer attention to their subtleties. I want to give a big thanks to everyone on Patreon for backing the channel. It really makes these deep dive lessons possible. I've got more color focused videos in the works that I'm really excited to share. So if you found this helpful, give a like, subscribe, and scan the QR code on the screen to check out my upcoming in-person workshops and demos.